Today is Tuesday, September the 9th, 2025, and the board meeting is now called to order. It is currently 6:03 p.m. Director Harnish is not with us this evening. At this time, I'm going to ask Director Parker to please read the land acknowledgement.
We are gathered today on the land of the Kalapuya, who are represented by Confederate tribes of Grand Ronde and Confederate tribes of Celeste Indians. The relationship between the Kalapuya people and the land continues unbroken to this day, and we offer gratitude for the land and for the generations present and past who have stewarded the land since time immemorial. We respectfully acknowledge and honor past, present, and future Native American and Indigenous students and staff of Salem Keizer Public Schools. We invite you to join us in honoring the ancestral grounds and celebrating the resilience and strength of all Native American and Indigenous people.
Thank you. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Superintendent Castaneda, are there any modifications to the agenda?
There are none.
I will turn this portion of the agenda over to Superintendent Castaneda.
Thank you so much. Well, we're back into the swing of a new school year, which means we are also back into the swing of spotlight celebrations. And so I am eager to be honoring members of our audience tonight. And as just a way to set the stage, the way that this will work is we will call each one up. There's a speaker. The speaker will explain the spotlight. And then at the very end, after both of our spotlights are done, we'll meet over here for photos. Okay, so with that, I would like to introduce Edna Poton, the CSOC at Bush Elementary. Edna, welcome. So we'd like to invite you to the front, and you can have a seat right here and share your spotlight. Yeah, that's perfect.
Oh, perfect. Good evening, Chair Richardson.
Excuse me 1 second. Yeah, and I think you have to push the. No push, just closer. Okay, there you go.
Okay. Good evening, Chair Richardson, members of the board, Superintendent Castaneda, and student advisors. My name is Edna Poton. I'm the current Community Outreach Coordinator at Bush Elementary. And tonight we're honored to spotlight Caliber Collision for their outstanding partnership and commitment to our students and schools. This year, their team organized a back-to-school drive collecting backpacks and school supplies so that students could begin the year prepared and ready to learn. In addition, they generously donated about $3,000 directly to schools, making an immediate impact in classrooms. Their support doesn't stop there. Caliber Collision has built a strong connection with CTEC, providing students with real experiences and opening doors into automotive industry. Through this partnership, they have even hired CTEC students, helping young people take the first steps towards a successful career. We are grateful to Caliber Collision for their generosity, their investment in education, and their belief in the potential of every student. Partnerships like this remind us of the power of community, working together to help students thrive in both school and beyond.
Thank you. Okay, we will now move on to Stephanie Wetzel, who will be providing our staff spotlight. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Richardson, members of the board, Superintendent Castaneda, and student advisors. Tonight, we're proud to recognize Erica Garcia, a community school outreach coordinator, for her exceptional dedication to supporting our families and strengthening our early childhood programs. Erica goes above and beyond in her role, building trust with families and connecting them to resources they need for their child's long-term success. You can find Erica at community events, working with local agencies, and personally reaching out to families in need. This past summer, Erica even stood out on Lancaster in the 90-plus degree heat to share information about our programs and encourage families to enroll. Whether it's shelters, clinics, grocery stores, parks, or going door to door in neighborhoods, she meets families where they are, demonstrating her deep commitment to equitable access. Thanks to Erica's tireless outreach, our pre-K programs have maintained full enrollment, ensuring that more children have access to high-quality early childhood education. Her efforts have also strengthened the visibility and reputation of our programs while sending a powerful message that every child and every family matters. At the heart of Erica's work is inclusion and belonging. She intentionally reaches out to families who might otherwise face barriers to accessing early learning opportunities, making sure all families, regardless of background or circumstance, feel seen, welcomed, and valued. Her approach creates a more inclusive and equitable community where everyone feels they belong. Erica's a longtime member of our Salem-Keizer team, and we are proud to honor her dedication, compassion, and impact through tonight's Staff Spotlight on Success.
Thank you. Thank you, Erica. Okay, we will meet both of our honorees over here for photos.
Now we will move to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Chair. Well, this is always one of my favorites. This and the graduation report are amongst my favorites because it is pure celebration of the start of a really wonderful school year. And each summer I really look forward to the opportunity to meet with every principal. And over the course of this summer, what I have heard almost uniformly is principals saying, this is about as good as we have ever felt. We are clear, we are focused. We know what we're building, we know where we're going, and I'm partially sharing that out of gratitude for our school leaders who are amazing, but I also want to say it to the board because your clarity is their clarity. And it's an extremely important part of our shared work. So if you can advance the slide, we'll move on and celebrate a few of the great things that have happened with the start of school. So first, to Jumpstart Kinder, Erica, you might even recognize some of the kids in here eventually. Our Jumpstart Kinder kids come in the best shape when they've been in high-quality early childhood education programs, because that means they know what school feels like. But not everyone has had that experience. And so Jumpstart Kinder is the place to make sure everyone knows what happens in school. Our parents learn what happens in school and how to do a drop-off. But our students also, they learn everything from how to get their lunch to every routine, how to go to the bathroom. They learn everything that they need to know, how to play in their new playground, and it's all part of Jumpstart Kindergarten. It also serves a very important purpose because we get to lay eyes on our new kindergartners and see what they are gonna need most from us. And so we have, I think, anywhere from between about 30 to about 70% of our kindergartners coming into Jumpstart, depending on the school. And it is an all-around incredible week. It starts with tears in many cases, including parents. It ends with joy in most cases, and it just continues on to the first day of school. Jumpstart 6th grade also is going on, and this is when you just scale it up. It's the bigger kids, but they are coming to learn the layout of their new school. They get their schedule. They do a quick run through their entire schedule. Some of them are using lockers. They learn how to use lockers for the first time. We all remember what that feels like. So again, it was just a really great incoming experience for our 6th graders. And then we kick it off the following, a few weeks later, with the first day, and it was just a really smooth and excellent opening. I want to thank our team. Some members are here. David Hughes, you do a lot to help make sure that our schools open smoothly. And you guys don't know how many people like David there are in the background, making sure that our schools are ready. David was central in getting almost 400 classrooms, new furniture in time for the start of school this year, which is a huge step forward. So just a lot of really great work, and then a lot of joy as we opened the school year with all of our students. I got to spend time in a number of our schools, and most of our district team was out visiting schools for the full first week. And we all got to share in visibility into the hard work, but also some of the fun and joy. And now we are just kind of open throttle with the school year. And so we are, in addition to the first day for everyone, almost everyone, it's also, sports are now underway. And we've got music, we've got all kinds of activities going on all throughout the district. I was able to attend McKay's Senior Sunrise, and at first they come and they wonder why they got up at 6 in the morning to sit on a dark football field. But by the end, they are so happy that they're there. We also had the Mayor's Cup, which was just last weekend. And the Mayor's Cup was a great event with one particular standout player from North, who my husband ran into in the grocery store later on and was able to tell him that he really crushed it. And this is one of the things that makes Salem-Keizer an amazing place, is we see each other everywhere. So it's just, I feel so proud of the schools of the week. I will briefly note, it was hot. Our student advisors can confirm. And our team works so hard in the background on everything related to heat mitigation that we can do. There are things that are beyond our reach, like air conditioning in every school right now. But we always have a couple of days in the spring and a couple of days in the fall, and we every year are working to get better at heat mitigation. Our Chief Operating Officer, Paul Odenthal, will be continuing to work with the team to do everything we can. But we sure appreciated our staff and our students working through some pretty hot conditions. And with that, I will turn it back to you, Chair.
Thank you so very much. It is now time for the public comment portion of the school board meeting. As a reminder, all audience members are subject to immediate removal if you engage in abusive, threatening, vulgar, or hate speech, including speech articulated on signs and clothing, which violate the district's harassment and/or every student belongs policy. Please note that we provide an opportunity for public comment by virtual call-in, in person, or in writing. Electronic mechanisms are used for translation. Each participant has 3 minutes. We have a countdown timer on screen for monitoring that time. The timer counts down from 3 minutes at 30 seconds. It turns from green to yellow at 1 second. It turns red and plays a short bell to signal time is up. Please be mindful of your pace for our interpreters. If the board receives written comment ahead of the meeting, the written comment will be posted on the district website. Tonight, we have 2 people who have signed up and have been selected to comment. Our first person is Kimberly Estes.
I gotta get close. Hi, hello to the board.
Hi.
Hi, board. All right, so as many of you know, the start of kindergarten is a monumental milestone for every child and every family. It represents a new chapter of growth, learning, and independence. However, for families with children who have special needs, this transition can be fraught with unique challenges, especially when the necessary support systems are not in place. Our family is currently experiencing this firsthand. Our son was in WESD since I think he was 1. Wonderful experience with that. Did our transition meeting in June. Everything was in place and ready to go. We also did Jumpstart. He had a great time. He met Martha, and we were told that that was going to be a pairing for the year. We were ready to go. So as you can see, our son, he's more than ready for kindergarten, is still waiting to start school right now. Because we were told a week before school started that the district no longer had the support that our son needed. And their solution to this issue was to have the administrative staff be trained on how to help Rhett when he needed to use the restroom or as they could throughout the day, not with the one-to-one support that we were promised. So right now it's disheartening to know our son's education is being delayed, not lack of his desire to learn, not lack of a willingness to accommodate on our end, but because of the systemic issues that are related to the funding and the staffing in our public schools. And we do understand the challenges that the schools face, especially with the ongoing special education staffing shortages. I know there's teacher burnout, overwhelming caseloads, limited administrative support, and all this does contribute to this crisis, but it's the families that are left flailing at the last minute, as we experienced just last week. However, I also believe that families are also willing to be part of the solution. To address the immediate need for support for our son, we offered to have his trained direct support professional, his DSP, accompany him to school. His DSP has an in-depth understanding of all of his needs and would be able to seamlessly provide the necessary assistance without the school needing to hire and train and plan for turnover and all of the things that happen with new personnel. And it's not just about our family. We believe that this creative solution could be a valuable tool for a lot of parents of children with special needs in similar situations. By allowing outside support to work within the school, we could potentially alleviate some of the burdens that the district feels, some of the burdens that the staff feels. We could streamline the process. We could overcome the barriers that they have right now, align background checks, align liability, find waivers, find ways to make it happen so that all of these children that have these people on, they're ready to go. They're in the wings, just waiting, and they want to make sure that these children receive the attention that they need. So I urge you to consider the benefits of these, the consistent support for our kids with special needs, especially during a transition into something pivotal like kindergarten, with a lightened load for the school district and the families by allowing DSPs in schools. This is a solution to these staffing challenges that are directly impacting our son and many others, so that all children, regardless of their needs, have the opportunity to thrive in your public school district.
Thank you. At this time, would Jennifer Gelbrich please come forward? Jennifer Gelbrich. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is the approval and adoption of EL5, Staff Compensation and Professional Development Revisions. As a reminder, the board heard a first reading of this policy at our last business session. Superintendent Castaneda, is there anything else before we proceed?
I don't believe so. We had an in-depth conversation on both of these ELs at our last session, but we welcome further questions now.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve and adopt EL5 staff compensation and professional development revisions as provided?
Yes.
Dr. Sadia is making the motion. Do I have a second? Director Parker is seconding it. Any discussion? All those in favor of approval and adoption of EL5 staff compensation and professional development revisions, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Guzman, did she say aye?
Karina joined us.
Okay. Now we have approval and adoption of EL12, legally required policies revisions is up next. The board also heard a first reading of this policy at our last business session. Superintendent Castaneda, is there anything else before we proceed?
Only to note that at the last discussion, Director Chandragiri had an excellent proposal, which you'll see incorporated into this draft. It's the fourth item on the legally required policy list.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve and adopt EL12, legally required policies revisions as provided?
Yes.
Dr. Sadia, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Any discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
I just want to thank you for considering that, the legally required data, both for the state level and federal level, because I truly believe that this will allow our district to be very open and transparent and allow everybody to hold ourselves and hold community to hold us accountable. And it'll also give us an ability to not just accountability, but on an ongoing basis, continue to improve and do better. Because I truly believe that each of the data element is nothing but our children in the community. So we need to be really ethically mindful of why are we collecting the data, how are the data going to benefit the children and the community. Otherwise, it's like a doctor asking for a lab test. It can't be for the doctor's sake, it has to be for the patient's sake. And the data belongs to the community. And we have to hold the data in such sacred relationship We may be the custodians of the data, but the data actually is nothing but our children. So we're constantly asking ourselves, how is this data going to be useful? In what way it is going to help overcome any disparities or close the gap. And so that's the reason why I feel this will be very helpful. Anything we can measure, we can improve. If we don't measure, we will not know where we are going, what direction. So I think this is an important piece. And now we have added positions to help with the data, dashboard, et cetera. This is a very timely way. And I think data-driven advocacy by different communities will help communities also to develop agency and get better. And it can keep our own implicit biases away and look at it objectively and say, are we really closing the gaps? Are we achieving what we should be achieving to kind of lift different communities? So I think this is a very critical piece to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of approval and adoption of EL 12, legally required policies revisions, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Thank you. It's unanimous. The next two items on the agenda are first readings related to properties. I'd like to turn it over to Paul Odenthal, Chief Operations Officer, to provide us with additional information.
Thank you, Chair Richardson, Director, Student Advisors. Good evening, and thank you for the time tonight. We have, as mentioned, two properties that we're coming to you for the first reading, asking to declare them surplus and not required for school purposes. And then in October, with that, the second reading, we'll also be asking you to approve us to move to sell of these two properties. The first property, and I believe if we bring up the slide, we have the site plan there as well. This is the Centennial property, Centennial School in Kaiser. It's adjacent to the Forest Ridge Elementary School at, it's kind of kitty corner to it as well. This building was last used as a school in 1994. It has been repurposed several times since that time as well. Currently, it's not in use other than some storage at the current time as well. The building is only about 13,000 square feet in the site there, and it is 128 years old and in quite poor condition as well. The access to the site for parking is actually through easement through the neighboring church to the property there, so we do not own parking or access to it for vehicles on our own. And the property itself, it's less than 2 acres and really no purpose that of use to the school district for future, for our current education and property requirements there. So before I move to the next property, I'll pause and see if there's any questions on this piece.
Just a little question. So sorry, just clarification first. The building that we're looking at, that particular structure, well, sorry, everything that Salkai owns is within that red parameter, is that correct?
That's correct. So you see the parking below belongs to the church. We have an easement to use that, but we don't own that property.
All right. And then just sad to say goodbye of the original Clear Lake building. A lot of us, I mean, with multi-generational in the area, will miss it. So thanks.
Thank you. All right, great. Let's move to the next property if we could change the slide. Thank you. So the second piece is, I admit we scared a few folks because we originally said disposal of Chavez Elementary. That is not true. We changed the slide quickly on that. This is a triangle of land. When we purchased the property in 2012 for the construction of the Cesar Chavez Elementary School, the purchase included the triangle that you see to the left of the slide there as well, which was not utilized for the project itself. There is a retaining wall, and you can see somewhat in the 4-acre site, there's about an acre that is wetlands and a stream that goes through that area. And so this property, while we purchased it to see if it was needed for Chavez, was not used and is really not for use, there's no use for that property to the school district as well. So that's the second property that we would like to dispose of as well. And as I mentioned, our intention is to be back with you in October asking for approval to move to sell these two properties. And any questions?
I'm kind of curious about the value of the two properties. Do we get to talk about that?
Sure. So we have some, our broker, we did some estimates. They're old. They're about 2 years old at this point, and we'll be doing a reassessment. The Chavez property is in the neighborhood of $350,000 to $400,000 as well. The Centennial property is about the 1.2 to 1.5 million as well. But again, we're having those reassessed before we get to the point of putting them on the market.
All right, thanks. And so I'm going to go ahead and dare ask the last one. I'm guessing the public, we always get asked these. They're curious about the pots those go in. Do you get to talk about that, or is that later, just for transparency's sake to help share with them? Because I know we get to hear stuff like that, but they don't.
Yes.
Those funds would be moved.
Right. The intention for these funds is to go to our capital funding as well, so it would support our projects for capital improvements across the district as well, a 418 account as it's called. Okay. Thank you, Chair Richardson.
Thank you.
I have a question, sorry.
Okay. Director Guzman?
Sorry, I don't know if you can see my raised hand. To better understand what might be built, erected in this space, just curious how that lot is zoned and the Chavez adjacent lot. What might be built there in the future?
Yeah, I'm going to let Dave, what's the zoning?
I honestly don't recall. We did annex it into the city when we purchased that land, but I don't recall the zoning. I apologize.
Okay. So I'd asked Dave Hughes, who here, actually, I wanted to recognize Dave as well, that works our real estate works as well and does a great job on these two properties and others across the district. So it was annexed into the city. We're not sure on the zoning. We believe it was agricultural before as well. We would expect it will have to be rezoned by the owner, and I would expect potentially a housing project of some sort in that area.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Superintendent Castaneda, will you present our next agenda item?
Absolutely. So our next agenda item is the first read of a resolution of commitment to students. And I want to offer a few pieces of context on this before opening it up to the board for discussion. So first of all, this is a complete rewrite of a resolution that is, at this point, I think about 4 or 5 years old. I think that it first came to us in 2021 or thereabouts. This is a resolution that over the course of my time with the board has been a consistent point of engagement with the public, engagement across the dais, and also a point where we've seen, I think, rich and meaningful differences of opinion around its language, its intent, and its function in our district. This is a board resolution, not a district resolution, and I offer that only to clarify that it is important that it, in its final form, reflects the consensus position of this board through a voting process. And that means that I once again expect that there's going to be rich discussion. There are some very notable elements of this revision that I want to share before we turn it over to you. The first is that it has been rewritten to use our newly adopted board-adopted 5 core values as a district as the pivot point for our commitment to students. And so that's why you'll see those as a central feature. We have not before had core values. I believe if we had, they probably would have been in an earlier draft of this. But now that we have them, and equity is amongst that set of 5, you'll see it in a prominent space here. A second thing that I want to offer, not on behalf of the resolution, but on behalf of the district that we lead with a lot of pride and humility, is an unchanged and unbroken commitment to the very highest and best calling of an equity-based function. It is and remains at the center of everything we do. This resolution needs to reflect the position of the board. The position of the district, I believe, will fall very nicely in line with that. And it is that we believe that equity in all of its forms, including a close attention to the fact that we live in a society that does not distribute benefit equally. And that distribution tends to cleave along lines of race, ethnicity, religion, cultural background, and gender and sexual orientation. It is the reality of the culture and the society that we live in now. And as a school system, we pay attention to all of those features. We believe it is that form of equity, a complete and total commitment to our students exactly as they are, and our responsibility for providing them what they need and deserve. This resolution moves to very practical action. It's the action that our district currently takes and is eager to continue taking for as long as we have the ability to continue serving as its leaders. This is an undisturbed commitment, but this is a document that is evolving around the changing moment that we live in and the changing interests and needs of the context and the people at this dais. So with that, I wish to hand it over to the chair, and you can facilitate discussion of this first draft.
Thank you, Superintendent. The board will now have a rich discussion on this resolution 2025-2602, our commitment to students. I'd like to give each board member an opportunity to share. So raise your hand and I'll call on you. Not all at once. Yes, Jolie.
I got to see this draft a few weeks ago at the Equity Advisory Committee, and I can tell that it was very thoroughly thought through. And like Superintendent Castaneda mentioned, the core values being incorporated throughout it are very important, and I like how it's very clear. I also like how there was like a list of different ways like to show support the safe and welcoming school weeks, Black History Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, LGBTQ plus Pride Month, Asian American, etc. That list, it was very well thought out, and I like it. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Yes, Jackson.
I didn't get a chance to see our previous resolution, but I really enjoy the emphasis on, like you said, equity. I see in schools so many things going right with like helping students feel included and feel as equal as they can with other students. And sometimes I see things that are wrong with that. But I love that that is one of the core focuses of this.
Thank you. Yes, Dr. Sadi.
Well, I just want to say thank you very much, because this is a very nice evolution we have started, where we started in 2021 and how we have evolved. You know, I'm reminded, you know, we have to think of our history, in this case, our shared history. Doesn't matter at what point in time I came into this country, I have to think of it as a shared history. And like any history, I want to look at the history and the context in which the history is happened, and to kind of look back and say what important lessons we can learn. But I also want to make sure that we raise our children and we live in the current context with the very, diverse community. We have like 130 different languages and 130 different nationality where they came from. So we have to live in the current context and try to avail the opportunities of the current context. And we should always dream for moving forward where we are all tied to each other in a shared destiny. I'm going to leave my children behind here. I'm not going to be able to take them anywhere else, whether I became a naturalized citizen or not. So I think that is the beautiful part of a pluralistic society that we are. And I want our children to kind of imagine that, and I want to imagine myself, where we feel we are all kind of able to push the car in the same direction, where we are working towards a perfect union, a good future for our children. And, I grew up in India. We have like 20,000 languages, 1.4 billion population. At that time, I was not mature enough to articulate this, but we talk about unity, finding unity in our diversity, where you have multiple culture, multiple food, you can think in different ways. I think many parts of the world have gone from a very dualistic way of looking at issues to a non-dualistic way of saying, how can we all find the future where all our children can share? And I really think that this is a very nice resolution, which really talks about an action path. It doesn't say that we have to forget our history, and it's a shared history, whether I came in 1996 or you lived 3 generations here or 5 generations here. It's a shared history, and that is how I see this. Because as a nation, we need to move forward, and we all can do that. And it really touches upon the fact that it talks about equity as a fundamental principle. So that will really enshrines that we will find a way to create that equal opportunity. And so I really think this is a very good work you all have done. The committee that you're talking about, thank you for being in the committee and working towards coming up with this. And this can easily fit into action items and strategies that really will allow us to not only move, but also start measuring, are we heading in the right direction in that way? And it'll kind of bring us together. I think it'll be a very healing kind of experience, I feel, listening to this. And it is a nice job, good job. You all have done a good job. So I'll be supporting this the way. It kind of made me feel, I read it like half a dozen times just to kind of relish this. What a beautiful pathway. I wish our city adopts it and the state adopts it. And, this is a good way to bring everybody together. I really want us to find that inherent dignity in each and everybody, and so that we all feel not just a sense of inclusion, but I just want to take ownership of this school and community. Everybody should feel that way. So thank you for doing this good work. It probably went in a lot of time and effort you all have put in. So I admire you for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Director Fuller.
Hi. I don't know who I'm saying hi to. Hello. I spent a lot of time looking at both of these documents next to each other, and they both essentially are saying the same thing. And I believe that the second document, the one that we're looking at tonight, may even say it better as far as what we're trying to do as a board and the work that we focus on. There was a couple of things that I noticed that in the differences, and at the time that this policy was, when this resolution was first made in 2021, and I remember watching it, it was a bold and brave move to put in words such as actively being anti-racist and putting in denouncing white supremacy. My concern over the new document is that those words are gone, and what that might mean to people who were so happy to see it in there, myself included. I understand that this is a resolution for the board to adopt and how we will commit to do our work as a board. We can each choose how we do that and how we approach it. And I think it would be great if we could unify together and say that as a board, we're going to work to be anti-racist and to denounce white supremacy. So that was just the omission that I saw and the difference, and that's something that I'm trying to understand why that was removed in lieu of the revision defines it in a way, but it doesn't come out and say it. And in our climate right now, I think it's absolutely important to come out and say those words and mean them and own them and act on them. So that's just my thoughts on it, is the removal of those two very important things.
Thank you. Director Hudson? Oh, Karina had her hand up? Karina, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, but go ahead, Christine.
No, I wasn't even asking, so you can go ahead, thank you.
She'd like for you to go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Don't have my thoughts quite organized, and so I appreciate the willingness to have a conversation about the proposed language. And like all of you, I've read it. I've read through it a couple times, and overall, I appreciate the plain language that is put forth. I also understand that the previous language was dense and academic, and unfortunately difficult for some people to fully comprehend, also causing maybe some confusion. And I like Director Fuller, stand, personally, strongly leading through anti-racist values and recognizing that white supremacy is a part of our present and past in this nation, right? And so when we see those words, when we hear those words, and they make us uncomfortable, I strongly believe that we need to do more reading, that we need to reflect on our nation's painful history, do some introspection and self-worth to work through that defensiveness. Because although not everyone is a white supremacist, right, it doesn't mean that it does not exist. And I think that's one of the things that's been really hard for us to understand through these conversations. And unfortunately, I think beyond that, though, what is lacking for me from this proposal is simply naming racial equity. When we look at our history again, right, we know, I mean, I think as educational practitioners, I think for folks who are in our buildings, that racial identity is it's a data point, right? It is a predictor of educational and health and well-being and financial outcomes. And we've seen that through history. We see that when we look at our own data, right? We see the disparities in our own district. And not just through race, right? I recognize, we've talked about gender identity and sexual, our LGBTQ student demographics as well as another one that is very highly impacted. And for me, what would be really, I think what is important, and I think in the sense of what are we committing to, right? How are we actually seeking to get move the work forward, not just in the nice words and whatnot, but to include words, language around, moving through whether like a racial equity practice that really also brings us back to how we are reviewing our data and making sure that everybody in our district has the resources and the tools to succeed. That is where I stand. I know we won't get this perfect. We haven't had a perfect resolution. That is not my expectation. for a district like ours, where the majority of our students, we have a significant number of students that are students of color, students from minoritized backgrounds, students who have significant challenges, and recognizing the current climate, I don't want to shy away from naming the fact that race is a predictor of outcomes, and that it is still important for us to continue looking at our data through that lens so that all of our students can have the supports and tools to thrive.
Thank you. Director Hudson?
So thanks for that, Karina. And I just want to share for individuals that may not get to see this, I'll continue reading whichever the list. So it looks like there's still a path to celebrate the specific groups that we have been. Black History Month, Hispanic Heritage Month. It's named here as LGBTQ+ Pride Month. Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Native American and Alaska Native Heritage Month. Arab American Heritage Month. Teacher Appreciation Week, Safe and Welcoming School Week, and National Education Support Professionalism Week. So we have some of those weeks in there. More of the months, the last three are Child Abuse Prevention Month, Hands and Words Are Not for Hurting Month, Suicide Prevention Month, and then it just lists it as many more. So we understand that, yes, that if we're continuing with the list that we've been, that we will continue to celebrate and honor and lift up those very specific groups for whole months within the district as well. And it's that we're stating a harsher stamp here, I believe, in saying that it's that this is sorry, where did it go? That this is, we're just re-commemorating it and putting an extra stamp that this is what we stand for, represent, always will, and that's it. So I guess there are lots of different perspectives, but I wanted to share for the people that were concerned or whichever, in case you didn't get a chance to see that for other people at home or whichever. Thank you for the time. Thank you.
Director Parker?
Yes, I want to say this is a great document. This is wonderful. Believe in the equity. I like the comment that Dr. Satya said earlier about racial healing. I totally believe in that we need to move forward, but we can't forget our past. We have to remember our history, where our students came from. This is a great document to moving forward, but again, we have to remember. And as far as I agree that with Dr. Mel Fuller, that the words anti-racism, but I think it's also put as kind of a, nobody's going to be okay with it. There's going to be different people having different views, but they could see it as the white supremacy being like a labeling term in there. And I think that's kind of why we got it out of there, to make it to, we don't put people in the group, we're all together, we're moving forward, we're getting through, going over our past. So I think this is a good document, and I think this is a great start, but we got to remember our past, and we got to remember where we came from, and we got to, like we said, heal, move on. Thank you.
Just want to add that.
I'll give you 2 minutes.
This has been an evolution for me, and part of, I was one of the persons who consistently voted no on the previous versions of the resolution. I want our community to know that. In order for my own learning, I just went to the Smithsonian the Smithsonian Museum and African American Museum, just to kind of learn that. I must have spent 2 times I went, 12 hours altogether, trying to understand, because as an immigrant, I just wanted to kind of understand. So I've done a lot of work to the extent I could, trying to understand. And even that museum is organized in a way that it starts from before chattel slavery began from 1400 onwards in the basement, and it kind of walks you through the Afrofuturism. And the reason I thought that museum was a beautiful way for me to learn was it really gave me hope that how can we find some kind of future of racial healing. That's the reason I was kind of stuck on that word. And that kind of started making me think, you know, even though I might have come into this country 29 years ago, it's a shared story which I'm carrying. For me, I have to do my part. And that's why I found this document helpful, because it really starts honoring the individual inherent dignity of everybody. So a third grade white kid does not have to internalize for the wrongs of the historical past. And that's how I felt when I this previous versions of the resolution kept coming up. Because in that process, what it has done is they're trying to repair that internalized harm, the guilt, is going to be far more dangerous and far more damaging. And it, keep wounding again and again is not the way to heal a wound, I thought. And so that's one of the reasons I said. And the second part was it became a slippery slope in our community, and the definition wasn't clear. Well, without a doubt, everybody is against the explicit forms of white supremacy like Nazi Germany and things like that. But then I'm not sure how many people have been wrongly targeted with such terms, racist and white supremacists. It became almost like chasing a boogeyman. And for our little children, I really want them to understand the history and the context, and for our staff, and try to see how we can move forward and heal from that, know our shared history, and learn from that history in that context. And we all have work to do. We all have work to do. I'm not saying it's done. Nobody is claiming that it's a perfect society. But for somebody to say that such and such person is a white supremacist, or I'm an anti-racist, you kind of self-imposed labels, that is where I'm a little troubled. Here is the reason I'm troubled. Because that's almost like absolving our role and saying somebody else have to work. I feel everybody has to work. Every community, historically, everybody has been morally wronged or ethically wrong, and we are carrying that wound inside. But that doesn't mean we'll have to keep wounding ourselves. We have work to do, and that's beautifully captured in the new document that's coming out. And it's also consistent with our, Constitution, the 14th Amendment, the Title VI and Title VII. So there is a good reason why the founding fathers decided to kind of have that as part of the 14th Amendment. And they don't say only white or black. They say this is, the 14th Amendment is like a way to recognize that we need to hit the reset button in a way that we move forward. I kind of lived in Philadelphia, taught my child to ride bicycle in Valley Forge. This nation sacrificed a lot. They went for a huge civil war for a right cause because of the slavery. Now, and the way we can honor them is not to keep wounding each other, but to find a way of racial healing and say, how can we learn? How can we teach the history with the right context and start showing our children pathway moving forward, which I feel the committees have done a good job in coming up with the document. And I really urge my fellow board directors and everybody else to take that and absorb, because I have seen in this very boardroom, people going after each other and with all kinds of definition of what they call white supremacy. Somebody wearing mask and no mask became a reason. Those things were clearly wrong. And we cannot create more opportunity in a systemic way by passing a policy to divide people any further. Because, an eye for an eye or two wrongs don't make it right. And I really feel people started co-opting those terms, and they started using it in a way that did not bring our community together.
Point of order.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Did you have something else
I
you want to
did.
say?
Yeah,
Please.
thank you.
So I believe that our district, as you said, is already doing this work. Equity is ingrained in the work that the district is doing with the students. This document, it's not a policy, I understand, it's a resolution, it's a commitment, and it only pertains to the board members and how we view the work that we do. So I'm not viewing this document as its effect on what happens day to day in the schools. It's how we as a board will look at the work that we do. And we're all gonna do that differently, because we all come from different, that's what makes the board rich. We all come from different experiences, and we're all brought here to use that experience to lead our district as a board. I think strongly that moving and healing and recognizing our history is important. I agree with that. I also think that giving it another name or getting rid of it altogether doesn't erase what happened. It still happened, it's still there. So really, I've made my own commitments internally with myself and the work that I do to be anti-racist, and I've denounced white supremacy several times. So I'm comfortable in that if you know, if it makes it into the document or not. It's something that I'm comfortable with, and for people who are, even board members perhaps, who are uncomfortable with those words, I ask you to ask yourself why you're uncomfortable with those. It doesn't, it's a word, these two words are really important, and I appreciate that they were in there before in 2021. I hope they make it again, but again, this is just really about us and how we do our work, not the district. So that's the end of my comment, I guess. I don't know how to wrap it up.
I want to thank each and every one of you for your comments on this issue. What I'd like to say is that each and every one of us are at different levels in our learning and understanding of equity. And so I don't think we'll ever all agree on what an exact document should look like or consist of. Fair. But what we have to know right from wrong, and we have to treat the people that we deal with in an equitable manner. And I know that inappropriate language is used for people of color specifically. I ignore it because I know I am not that. So I would hope that people who think that they fit in the category of anti-racist would know that it's not to say that they are horrible people. That is the title, that is a label, like you said earlier. So we remove those labels because we want people to read the document, and we want them to understand it, to accept it, and be a part of it. And if those words were preventing them from getting deep into what we're trying to accomplish, then those words can go, in my opinion. Because I know who I am and what I'm doing. Thank you very much. Superintendent Castaneda, do you wish to provide further review of any item on the consent calendar?
I do not, thank you.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Yes, Chair.
Dr. Santagria, is there a second?
Jennifer, please.
Director Parker has seconded. All in favor of the consent calendar items, please raise your right hand and say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. As a reminder, everything that we're about to share in the Information Standard Report section is provided for the board's review ahead of the meeting. Superintendent Castaneda, do you wish to provide any additional information?
Yes, briefly, I want to call your attention to the 2025 legislative session report. This is a document that is required that we submit it to you as part of an executive limitation policy, but it also is just a quick and easy read for you to see some of the big things that happened in the session. GHR and the team supported it, the summary document that you see here, and it allows you to see the areas where the district is taking action to comply with new legislation and some of the other major events of the session. Thank you.
Thank you. That takes us to our board report section of the agenda, where directors and student advisors share work from formal committee assignments and activities of the board related to youth programs and school district activities since the last board meeting. And we will start with our student advisors. Jackson.
So, sadly, I was not able to go to the last advisory board meeting. I was really disappointed that I missed that. It sounds like that a lot of great work was done there. It sounds like you got to look at the that document that we just looked at there. But I think that the school year has really it's really kicked off really well. I'm part of a couple different organizations. I'm part of NHS. I'm starting the club. I'm part of boards. And we're already talking about revitalizations and community involvement. I'm on the senior council, and we're talking about service projects already. And I really love that. People can be so enthusiastic at the start of such, sometimes a very demanding part of the year. Yeah, and that's all I have to share.
Thank you. Jolie?
It has also been a great start of school. Like Jackson said, it has been a great kickoff to the school year, and the superintendent's advisory cabinet we had last Friday was last Friday was very good, and it was great to start meeting a new group of kids from all the different schools ready to come together and start working on ideas and to better all of our schools. And I'm also really excited to, I've started coming up with ideas to get more student voice, and I'm excited to work on those. Talk about it. Okay. One of them, I had this idea that, so we have the superintendent's advisory committee, but there's also school level advisory committees that meet at all the different high schools. So my idea was that maybe the school board members could go sit in on some of those meetings this school year if they're available, to hear at a school level how kids are doing and the concerns that different schools have, because the superintendent's advisory groups are great, but like you guys were saying, you want to hear more student voice. So that was an idea I had, and I look forward to discussing that more with you all. And yeah, it's going to be a great school year, and I'm excited. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Parker?
Yes, I had the opportunity to go to the first day of school at Morningside Elementary School, and it was great. It meant a lot to me, first of all, because that was my grade school, so I got to go there and see how it's changed over the years, but mostly got to see little kids, the smile on their faces, their cute little outfits. And then they got this stuffed, blown up Mustang horse, and all the kids loved that. That was the cutest thing. So that was really fun. And then I got to go to summer downtown at the riverfront, some summer, events, and got to talk to people, met families, introduced myself, saw some kids enjoying and playing on the playgrounds and bouncy houses and all that good stuff. So I had a good time. Thank you.
Director Guzman?
I'm just excited that everyone is back in school, including my own kids. They were thrilled. I just thank you to all of our educators and all of the prep work. I mean, I know there was a lot of training kind of happening before then. I got to kind of see North a little bit from the sidelines. We had a little bit of a scheduling and all sorts of hiccups, but it was good to send the kids off and just know that they were really excited. I think they were too excited to even notice how hot the buildings were.
Wow.
Dr. Sandgary?
Oh, well, thank you, Chair. It was wonderful. I mean, Sumter Elementary, the little kids. Oh my God, I wanted to show you all the photographs. Oh, all these kids were kind of cool. The parents were taking photographs and, it's just nice. And they all came with something, I don't know, cookies or what, I don't know, supplies they call it. But I really enjoyed it. It was wonderful. The faculty, they decided to take a picture. Just brought back some very sweet memories of my own little kid. Now they're kind of grown, they're leaving them in school. And I think more than the kids, we were anxious, and me and my wife at that time. But looks like the generation has shifted. Now the kids are running into the school. They're all kind of enjoying. Some even showed up saying, what is that kindergarten readiness test or something like that? It's as though they're like taking the graduation SAT or God knows what it is, but they showed up. But everybody seems to be so enthusiastic about coming into school, and they were waiting way before the door opened. That was the best part of it. There was like a big crowd waiting to come in. I think we're going to have a wonderful thing. If your kids are not showing up, it's not a good idea. The kids are more excited to come to school, so make sure you send your kids to school. That's the bottom line. This year, everybody's going to be excited. So our staff, everyone is working hard. Principals are all kind of waiting to welcome our kids. I want our parents also to kind of push the car in the same direction, make sure the kids show up. And looks like all our kids are interested in coming to school. So that's a good reminder for us, families and parents, to make sure that we keep that enthusiasm going. Once kids show up to school, it's a good news for everybody, including the kids' future is bright. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Hudson?
Well, as far as my activities, same Riverfront Bash. Neat to see the scope of the community as it gets bigger and bigger, kind of pull together and make it seem small. And preparing, along with, Kaiser Police and all those things, the Riverfront event, backpacks and things for the kids to be excited about the return to school. And then having the opportunity to see them there at Cummings, where I received my invite, and that was very, very exciting. I feel very, very grateful, very blessed, and also just as we sit here and discuss this, it reminds me of the family that spoke today. And so along with our equitable discussions that we have, I hope that we can continue to grow and ensure that we can exhaust all of our options to find a place for all of our little babies, because they deserve to be where their heart can flourish. And I mean, if they decide they want to be homeschooled, find another place, that's fine, but it would be nice to be able to say that they have the option to join the Salem-Keizer District if they would like. So I know it took a lot of courage, and many blessings to the family. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Fuller?
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly say that I've really been enjoying my time on the board so far. It has been that long, but it's been exciting. And I'm excited that I'm here serving and doing what is probably going to be one of the most impactful things I've ever had a chance to do as far as an impact on my community and the kids that are in it. So I'm excited to be here, and I'm happy that I'm here. Some things that I've done since our last meeting on the 16th, I drove up to Wilsonville and was the master of ceremonies for the Sunnyside Youth Fiddle Contest. This is related to the district, I promise. I met kids from Oregon and Washington who had traveled to compete to show us their best, and our school district was represented. I met a student who was an incoming freshman at South who fiddled the hair right off her bow. She did fantastic. I don't remember her name, but if she's watching tonight, I saw you and I'm proud of you, and I can't wait to see you play next year. My office hours that I talk about a lot, they've been really successful, and I think enough people know about them now that I can stop bringing it up every time, but it is really received well from the public, and I want to encourage the rest of the board members to consider something similar. Even, it doesn't have to be as often, but just think about it. I want to plant that little seed.
I have it to talk about.
You what? Okay. With the startup of school, my youngest attended 6th grade Jumpstart at Parish. I want to just really thank the Parish staff for how wonderful and easy they made that for all those kids. It was fun standing outside in the morning as they were coming in. I was kind of the greeter's cheat sheet, because she didn't know all the students from Highland, so she's like, "Is that one?" And I was, but it made the kids feel great to be recognized, and it was really fun. I also, in back to school startup activities, I did attend the Micronesian Islander Communities Resource Fair and backpack giveaway that they had at Chemeketa. I attended that as a volunteer, and as I was breaking down each one of those giant cardboard boxes for recycling, I just thought about how that box represented that many backpacks and resources that those students and families were connected with while they were there. Not only that, but they had a fun time seeing their friends. They had shiny new backpacks. I met a freshman at North who runs her own business selling skincare products. I learned so much in an hour and a half being there. And finally, families, please remember to update your emergency contact information and make a family plan that includes the school in case of an emergency, so that you can use the school district and your child's school as a positive resource during an emergency, and not be confounded by releases of information or denying a pickup, things like that. Please update that information and keep it current. And with that, welcome back to school, everybody, and we'll see you in the halls.
Thank you very much. Well, I've been out of the state. I went home for my family reunion, but I flew back in time to see Hairspray. Nice. Many of our students were in that play, and it was beautiful. Special needs students were in it as well. I just want to give them a huge round of applause for that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful play. It was just beautiful, musical-wise in all, and the inclusion of all students. It was really, really beautiful. I want to say welcome back to school to all of our students, our staffs, our families, and our community. Salem-Keizer School District is the best school district in the universe. We used to have people to say that. And I just want people to know that. And I just want you to know that there are great things happening here. And we have the best leadership that anybody could possibly have. Smart, on top of everything, transparent. She just does an amazing job. And just proud to serve with you and your leadership team. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is currently 7:22. This meeting is dismissed.